start with a short reflection on what we did until now, and for that we take this, how to say, the map. It's always like a map, almost like a map on page 12. Yeah, because that's important that you don't forget, because people tend to just take out certain topics and then they forget that there's something before, and then of course it's much too difficult, and it's built up in a way so that you kind of, you don't crash. Yeah. So then, and to really know that there are there are these points on the path that need to be developed in order to then be able to at least not to totally freak out when you see the next step. Yeah. Like skiing. Maybe skiing is not such a good example, because how many of you ski? Okay. So there's different color slopes. Yeah, when you look at the map, they show you where you can go through. And then I think it's green and blue. I think it starts with the green, which is really easy, has absolutely no bumps, nothing. Then you go to the blue one. When you mastered that, you learn how to balance, and so when you mastered that, then you go to the next one. Then is the red one, which is already quite demanding, and at the end is the black one. So if from the beginning you go to the black one, you break your neck. Yeah. So this is why there's these 3 stages, which each of them becomes more difficult then, as we go along. But because we've done the stage before, then it's more easy. Yeah? If you think about karma, if you think about rebirth, if you think about death, then actually generating bodhicitta much easier, or compassion, much easier than if you just jump into compassion like this. Okay. The first one is the foundation of all good qualities, is the kind and venerable Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him or her with great respect. So try to close your eyes and remember your teachers. Any skill that you have now, you did not learn alone. Somebody taught you. So just look at your heart. When you, not me, I'm not your teacher, okay? Just think about, especially if you do have a guru, or a yoga teacher, or the person who taught you how to read and write. Without that person you couldn't read nor write. What kind of relationship do we have to these beings? Is there kind of seeing their kindness, of giving their time to teach us those skills that they had anyway? They don't need to teach them to anybody else. They're happy with their skills. Especially, for example, if you play music. Most likely somebody taught you how to play that instrument. Or any other skills that you have, it comes from somebody else. And when we start to recognize that, then devotion and respect arises, and it's 2 very beautiful minds. It's a grateful mind, a humble mind. Not kind of, I'm so self-sufficient, I don't need anybody. That's arrogance. We cannot survive alone. And for all the things we know, we need somebody to show us, somebody to encourage us. Somebody who doesn't give up on us and starts again and again and again until we can do it. So what the kind of mind one develops here is to see, I can't do this alone. I need somebody who shows me, who teaches me, and who inspires me, and who encourages me when it doesn't work. Because your spiritual practice, many times it looks as if it doesn't work. And the more gratitude you have towards that person, by seeing their kindness, then devotion arises, and you allow this person to guide you. What's the point of having a teacher when you don't allow them to guide you? Very often we Westerners, for the Tibetans, we make it very, very difficult because we're so arrogant. And then when they tell us something, we run away. We say, he's not kind to me, because we don't want to hear. It's a big obstacle on the path, thinking, I know. I mean, depends what you want to attain, again. But here we're really talking about enlightenment. So we need a guide, somebody who knows that path really well because they have gone through it. So devotion and respect are two very beautiful minds. Okay, then so we kind of know that we want to attain liberation or enlightenment. I mean, that's what this path is for. It's not for happiness now. Then we need to check, do I have what I need? So then the verse goes, understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate a mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. So again, if we integrate that attitude into our life, kind of how privileged we are, how fortunate we are, depression has no chance. And we don't get stuck in those little problems and in those little difficulties. We just keep going. And we're not wasting our life. And there's gratitude. Gratitude for your mind stream. That at one point your mind stream has created the cause to have a precious human rebirth. Not in this life, because otherwise you wouldn't be human. We can't create the karma to be human when you're already born. So it needs to come from a previous life. So we must have had previous lives where we were incredibly good. This is why now your mind is attracted to these practices. Even if it's not the whole Buddhist path, it doesn't matter. But your mind is interested in generating a good heart. Your mind stream has kept pure ethical conduct at one point, in one lifetime, and that imprint has ripened in this life. So how can you say you're no good? But again, we don't need to get arrogant about it. Just open up. We've done it once or a few times, that means we can do it again. The next point is that we need to understand that it's not going to last. So there also, if we would exactly know when we are going to die, then we can make a plan and we can think, okay, now I'm going to have fun and pleasure, and then maybe the last 2 years of my life I'll start kind of developing compassion or things like that. But we don't know when we're going to die. This is why we have to remind ourselves again and again and again, this life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. You see, we think we have kind of so much time lying in front of us. Now, if you go backwards to when you were a child and until now, the feeling of that time, how is it? Long or short? I'm here every year. A year seems very long. Every time I come, it feels as if I have been here yesterday or the week before. But we think that the time from now until I die will be long. I have so much time. It will be exactly like that at the time of death. It will look as if life has just passed like this. So So remembering these things wakes us up, and we start to think, how do I want to live so I can die without regret? And you're the only one who can make the decision what that is. But from time to time, look at that decision again. Is that really the right way to be able to die without regret? And from time to time, if you have maybe some free time, spend that time or that day by thinking, this is my last day, how do I want to spend it? Somebody also has the karma to listen to a little bit of Dharma, but they might not understand. If they want to stay, they can stay by all means. They're looking for something. Bye. Nice. I'll listen to this. Okay, then, after death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. As I said, it's the only thing we're going to take with us. Not our possessions, not our friends and families, nor even this body, nor our mobile phone, nor our Visa card, nor our passport. You will go without identity. And if people say that is not scary, I'm not so sure. Imagine, now somebody takes everything away from you. Your identity, your passport, your Visa card, your telephone, friends, family, even the body. All these things that we're so used to, but the mind still functions. I mean, that's the Buddhist view. Of course, if you think at the time of death everything is finished, then no need to kind of make any effort. But what if it's not finished? What if the mind is not prepared and has to go alone? Geshe Topten, he said at one point, he said, well, you Westerners, you're so funny, you know. Your whole life you're not afraid of death. Then when death comes, you freak out. As a spiritual practitioner, your whole life you're afraid of death. But then when death comes, you're prepared. And it's not panicky fear. It's a very healthy fear to be careful, not to do negative actions, or not to do anything that you would regret at the time of death. That's all. So then, finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. So Geshe Topten, he continued after having said that we Westerners, we're not afraid of death, but then we freak out when death comes. And then he said, if you are afraid of death, you become a very valuable member of society, because you're not harming and you help as much as you can. And then if there's no continuity after death, it doesn't matter, because your life was really meaningful. If you're not afraid of death and you do just whatever comes into your mind that you feel like doing, and some of it probably negative, or at least not being concerned about the happiness of others, well, and then you die, and then there is continuity, well, then you get a big surprise. And he burst out laughing. So then we go to the middle level. Now these practices of thinking about having a master or needing some guidance, like not to be so arrogant to think we don't need anybody to guide us, then seeing that we have what we need in order to go on that spiritual journey, knowing that it won't last, and taking care of our negative actions, that would guarantee us a good human rebirth, or even a rebirth in an upper realm every time round. We purify our negative imprints that we have already created, and we're very careful not to create new ones. Then we start to look around and see that, I have such a nice life, but somehow this stupid mind of mine is only interested in having pleasure. It sees things that are by nature impermanent, it sees them as permanent, and then I get attached to them. And instead of kind of taking care of my negative emotions, I actually nourish them by just letting them do whatever they want to do, and even think that it's right to be angry. It's okay to be jealous. We never question these views of our negative emotions. So then we become aware, I had enough of this. I had enough of this uncontrolled rebirth under the control of negative emotions and karma again and again and again and again. I want to get out of here. I want to be peaceful. So that would be now finding seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. So that means you start to practice what is called the 3 higher trainings: concentration, ethical conduct, and wisdom. The wisdom to see reality as it is on a conventional level. Everything kind of exists because of a dependent arising. Everything exists because we label it. This is what I meant yesterday with the labeling. Whatever you label it, this is what it becomes. Nothing exists from its own side. And we start to question our hunt for worldly pleasures by seeing that they're not satisfying us, they're not creating lasting satisfaction, none of them. If we lose them, or if we don't have them anymore and we're dependent on them, we get depressed. And it robs us of our freedom. The mind is not free when there is desire, attachment, anger, aversion, and so forth. Yet, we could be free. So up to here we were looking after ourselves. It doesn't mean that you don't generate compassion, but it's kind of just the mind of compassion. It's not really acting on compassion. And that starts now. This is the highest level. The level where you say, yes, I want to get out of samsara, but I want to get out of samsara because everybody else is stuck in there, and because I am so dependent on others. I want to develop the love, infinite compassion, infinite wisdom, in order to have the skills and the capacity to lead them all to this state of full awakening. It's a very strong mind. So it goes, just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so of all mother migratory beings, please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. So this is what we did until now. So then before we start with the teachings from your side, you put up a motivation for being here and for doing that course. And whatever goal you have, or whatever your motivation is, the effort that you are making now will at one point ripen as the result that you will get there. So if you do this for this life, then positive energy will be finished at the time of death, because that's what you wanted, happiness in this life. If you do it to have a good rebirth, then it will give you a good rebirth. If you do it for liberation, at one point it will lead you to liberation. So you see, when we say, oh yeah, but bodhicitta, oh, it lasts so long, it doesn't matter. Because if we generate bodhicitta and we keep working on it, now we are creating the causes for enlightenment. So it will happen at one point, whether you want it or not. This is what planting karmic seeds, creating causes, is all about. At one point it will ripen as what you want it to ripen. So again, if your motivation is, I'm doing this for all other sentient beings, because I owe it to them. Same as I. They don't want to suffer, they only want to be happy. They don't want to be harmed, they only want to be helped. So may I be able to lead them out of samsara, so that they also then can benefit all other sentient beings. So that, of course, is the highest motivation, and you don't need to set yourself a time frame. We only need to plant the seeds, or to create the causes. So as I said, I'll leave you like 2-3 minutes from your own side. Why am I here? What's the purpose? What is my motivation? Where do I want to go with whatever I'm getting here in terms of instructions and teachings? What is my goal? And then if you consider yourself a Buddhist, you can go for refuge. And you would think in terms of, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, in order to bring all other sentient beings to that state. Okay, so we continue reading this map here. So after we have made a decision, or at least thought, yeah, that would be a good idea, to go for enlightenment, where I will have a mind that is developed at its fullest, it cannot develop further, then you start to engage in certain practices, and these are the verses that follow now. Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, again, try to see the word practice means training. Doesn't mean doing. I think we should exchange the word practice for training. Then at least people understand what this means. Page 13. Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, what they are, we do this morning, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I have pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. So those are the 2 last of the 6 perfections, means concentration, or shamatha, or calm abiding, and special insight, of course, is wisdom. So then your bodhisattva path kind of would be finished. But as we said yesterday, that lasts a long time. So when your compassion is really strong for others, not because you are too lazy to go on a long path, but because you can't bear to see the suffering of others, and not just your, again, small circle, but the suffering of all beings, then you say, okay, I'm going to practice the fast vehicle, which is the Tantra vehicle, where you take the result into the path, meaning again and again and again, you dissolve everything into emptiness, and out of that emptiness you rise in the form of one of those beings that you see there. You visualize that. So that, again, when I said all is merely labeled, we create reality with our labels. This is what it means. So we see ourselves as human beings, but and we think we're really real, but if I don't know if a dog labels me as a human being, and definitely probably not a fly. And if I'm a mosquito, I don't label you woman or man, I label you food. Yeah? So this is what I mean. So our labeling is wrong, basically, because our labeling is also dualistic kind of seeing. Me and others, and solidly existing, and never dying. This is kind of, these are these labels that we put unconsciously. Maybe an example to understand it a little bit better. So they say, first is, but it goes very quick. First is the label, then the thing jumps into existence. Quantum physics. That's how it works. The problem with quantum physics is that it's physics, so they only measure like things that you can measure. They're not kind of going into mental stuff. But imagine when you sit sometimes in the morning in your meditation or in the evening, and all of a sudden you kind of, there is a feeling of a bit softness and a bit darkness coming and all this. And then, but you feel okay actually. And then all of a sudden the thought comes, oh, I'm so tired. And you're tired. So everything exists as merely labeled. But these labels also you can't label that elephant because we have agreement. So it has to be, the label has to be put on a valid base. So now, I don't want to take abuse because Rinpoche continued that. If you have, what could I, okay. I used to hate cheese, absolutely, but really hate. There was a slight sliver of cheese in a sandwich, I would immediately detect it, and I couldn't prevent myself and spit it out. For my dad, that was terrible, because for him, cheese was the best thing that, and Swiss cheese that stinks, that kind of was the best thing that exists in the world. So I label it horrible taste. He labels it